Hello my friends and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 challenge run. Hope you're all doing well. So I've really been enjoying the no item challenges that I've been doing on the channel recently, where we buy only weapons and no items and then still attempt to win the run. Another character that I've seen this done with is the Vagabond, and this is one of my favorite characters because I really like the puzzle of putting together the weapon tags in order to get the stats you need. So it's even more interesting when you don't have items to help patch the stats that you're missing. The way that the Vagabond works is that you always get the full class bonus of any weapon that you have. So if you have a quarterstaff and no other primitive weapons, as soon as you get 6 of any weapons, you get the full benefits of the primitive weapon tag. There's a couple different starts that I could go for. I could start with quarterstaff. Primitive and medieval are two of the most important tags that we're going to want. Ghost Flint is very good as well. Ethereal is another very important tag because it'll give us 30 dodge, which will help us get to dodge cap very quickly. With Ethereal, Unarmed, and Medieval, you get 51% dodge, so that's 46% after the -5. And so that immediately gets you almost to dodge cap right away just between those 3 weapon tags. Spiky Shield also has 2 tags that we really care about, Medieval and Blunt. And Loot gives you Musical and Support, which are good tags. Even at 50% modifiers, that's still a very powerful economy boost to start the run with. So a lot of different options here. I'm going to start with Loot. This is how I usually start the Vagabond, but it's possible that we need the early stats more, and we'll need to transition, if I can't make this one work, to starting with Quarterstaff or something like that. I think that this run will probably take more tries than my other no weapon challenge runs, because it's a little more RNG based. Obviously, with the Vagabond, you need to find the weapon tags that you're looking for, and that can be more difficult. So I am not going to roll for harvesting here. I'm just going to take 2 regeneration. Getting defensive stats is going to be pretty tough. Okay, so interesting start here. We could get Unarmed right away, but we already have support from the loot, so we don't need the hand. And I'm just going to ban both Charcoal and Lens. These are 2 items that we're not particularly interested in buying. Charcoal does give melee damage, which our weapons are going to be... We're going to build a melee weapon set. Oh, wait, obviously, I don't need to care about banning items. I'm not buying any items. I'm just looking at the items right away. All right, well, we're going to take the loot here, and then we will roll. And Claw, this is an amazing item to find. This gives us Unarmed and Precise right away. And those are, of course, 2 more weapon tags that we're very interested in. I'll lock this Claw, and then I'll do 1 more reroll. And here's Ethereal, but I don't really want Ghost Scepter for my Ethereal weapon, so I'm going to hold off on that one. One thing that I did end up with here is that I upgraded my loot instead of buying a 3rd weapon, so we missed out on some support weapon tag. You can tell from my discussion with the bans earlier that I'm again playing this run while fairly tired, so forgive mistakes that I might make. We're gonna get this tree kill. Now, of course, we have to recycle this Toxic Sludge. Here I am just gonna take 2.5 harvesting. I think that's okay to grab early when it shows up like that. And there we go. We got Ghost Axe as an ethereal weapon. So that's actually a really nice find. We've got some luck in harvesting, and then we can reroll here. Medical is another weapon tag I'm interested in. This will give us 5 regeneration. So currently I've got Unarmed, I have Ethereal. Those are 2 of the tags we're looking for. I definitely need Medieval, and I need Primitive, and I really want Blunt. We can get Medieval and Primitive if I find a Quarterstaff. We can get Medieval and Blunt if I find a Spiky Shield. So that does give us room for at least 1 more tag, like Medical or Blade. Those are both pretty good weapon tags for us as well. But I think we'll skip on the Scissors. And even though it scales with our armor instead of our melee damage, so the scaling's going to be a little worse, getting Medieval and Blunt tags right away is going to be really powerful. So I am going to take the Spiky Shield here. It's still worth killing trees for the boxes and because they drop 3 materials, even though we can't actually take the items from crates in this challenge run. And the boxes are still worth money. Feels so bad to recycle a gentle alien, but that's how it is. Do I want 5 luck here? I think that's still worth grabbing. It does scale the damage of my loot a little bit, so even at half value, this is like taking a level 1 luck upgrade, so it's still worth picking up. Movement speed I will want as well, because we are going to be picking up the blunt weapon tag, which is going to decrease our speed by 10. So, really important to offset that move speed penalty. I'll also upgrade my ghost axe here, and then we'll do a reroll. Okay, primitive and heavy on the Cacti Club. That is 2 more really nice weapon tags for us. So we've actually hit all of the tags that I really care about, right? We've got primitive, we have medieval, we have ethereal, we have unarmed. So we're doing really well in terms of our raw stats. I will need to find some more regeneration, but currently, our stats are really good because we've managed to get the tag set that we were looking for. We also actually picked up a % damage from my ghost axe, which I was not expecting at all, but we managed to collect one. I was trying a little bit to run into enemies with the ghost axe out in front, in order to potentially get most of my kills with the ghost axe, and therefore make it a little more likely that we would find some extra % damage from doing that, and as it happened, we were able to make that happen last wave, so we actually have gotten some damage here. Do I want 4 melee damage? So currently I've got Claw, which scales with attack speed, Loot, which scales with luck, Spiky Shield, which scales with armor. So I do actually have less melee damage scaling with this exact weapon set than I was kind of expecting to. So maybe I'm supposed to take the attack speed over the melee damage. It scales all my weapons, which of course is really good, and because they all benefit from attack speed. I, again, had to just stop myself from buying this dangerous bunny. And of course it also increases the base damage of my claws here. I'm gonna roll here, and I could take Tool, I could take Elemental. I don't think I want that. I'm gonna keep rolling. Gun isn't totally ridiculous. Obliterator is a nice weapon for our tags because it does increase our range, and we do have a lot of short-range melee weapons. This character is going to have a harder time defending itself, and it's pretty good at killing elites. I think we can still do better than the Obliterator, though. I could buy the Ghost Flint in the short term. I think spending 20 here just to make sure I have my tags online is going to be worth it, and maybe the Ghost Flint gets me some attack speed as well. Let's go ahead and upgrade our Cacti Club. I'm going to be re-rolling a lot because that's all we can spend our money on anyways, is re-rolling and buying more items. So Rock gives me an option here to swap some tags out. I could pick up the Rock. It gives me Primitive and Blunt. If I find a different medieval weapon, maybe I want to swap the Spiky Shield for a different medieval weapon, because it scales with armor and not melee damage. I think I can pass on that, though. Let's roll. I don't need Tool as a weapon type, and I'll roll again. And I am going to upgrade my Ghost Flint. There's a decent chance that we get some attack speed off of that, and we can parlay those extra stats into permanent stat boosts, even if I then replace the Ghost Flint or the Ghost Axe later on. And because you do need to hit 6 weapons total early on the Vagabond, because... Oh, I need to stop running into all those attacks as well. Because the way that the tag system works is it still counts the number of weapons you have, it just doesn't care about their types. So you need to hit 6 total weapons in order to get the maximum tag bonuses. I think we're doing really well here. We've gotten pretty lucky as to what weapons we've rolled in the first shop, so we are fairly ahead on our economy. Do I want 7 crit chance? We do have precise weapons, and our weapons have some crit scaling, so we get additional crit scaling from claws, but lower from loot. Spiky Shield is ×2, Ghost Axe is ×2, Cacti Club ×2. So crit scaling at 3% here I think isn't bad. So I'm going to take that, and then we'll take 6 melee damage. I do desperately want to fix my armor, though, because we're at highly negative armor, so that's the big problem that we're currently having. A reroll, and... Okay, medical is still a good weapon tag. I might swap the Ghost Flint out for that, just for some regeneration. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll buy medical, and we'll buy the Ghost Axe, upgrading that, and then roll again. And I'm going to keep re-rolling, especially while we're still guaranteed to see weapons in every shop. We have nothing else to spend our re-rolls on. Or to spend our money on. Other than upgrading our weapons and re-rolling for different ones. So this is a fairly low damage setup, but it's not terrible. I am going to be doing a lot of re-rolls in my level up screen looking for a decent armor upgrade. And we've actually managed to pick up a reasonable amount of luck, so we're fairly likely to find higher level upgrades, and we have tons of money that we can spend on that, obviously. So I want armor and dodge from my level up screen as soon as I can get them. Dodge because that will get me to dodge cap, so it's very efficient to buy dodge when we're this close to dodge cap. And armor, of course, because my armor is negative, and we've got to fix that in order to play the game at all. 2 crates here, a little bit of extra money. Obviously, we still have to recycle everything, and then let's re-roll. And I could take 1 armor, but I feel like we can do better. Do I want 15 luck? I think I'm going to roll again and roll again. Alright, we'll take 6 melee damage. That is still worth picking up, I think. Let's do a reroll here, and I'm, again, only looking at the weapons. Primitive and precise on Sharptooth is kind of interesting. So, I could lose the scissors, which cost me 5 regeneration, but we would then maybe be able to swap Claw out for a different unarmed weapon. Is there an unarmed weapon I prefer? I think Claw is probably the best one, so Sharptooth I don't think gives us that much. We'll do a few more rerolls here. I'm still having to stop myself from buying these, buying all these good items that we're passing just on reflex. Knife is a precise weapon, and a pretty powerful one. It's just a good weapon overall, but I think that's okay. Another thing I can consider is swapping out the loot for a more damaging weapon later on as well. Just doing a bunch of rerolls to kind of look at my options here. We don't have to really care about how we're spending our money as long as I'm continuing to progress the character each wave. I wouldn't mind swapping to a quarterstaff if we find a higher level one. That's one of the ways that I can improve my economy is by getting the XP gain from quarterstaff. Okay, another loot alien. Of course, this is a healer wave, so it's going to be a little harder to kill potentially, but we did get it. Oops. Walked into the attack from that walrus, which was obviously pretty dangerous. Chopper is another item I could consider. Another weapon I could consider. That gives us consumable healing, which is super valuable. This character is mostly going to struggle to heal, so if we get a chopper, that could be really strong. Let's recycle here. We're going to take 6 dodge. I definitely need to buy the dodge that we can. Let's roll blunt and heavy on the hammer. Do I want that more than the spiky shield? It would cost me medieval, but we could replace that with another medieval weapon. And obviously it does a lot more damage than spiky shield does, which scales with our -4 armor. So that's kind of interesting. I could sell out of Cacti Club as well. It would cost me the primitive weapon tag for now, but again, we could replace that. I think let's roll past the hammer. I'm still just looking for really strong items, I think. Or weapons. And let's keep rolling and rolling. A cursed stick is a little interesting as well, just for the sheer damage that it gives you. Any cursed weapons we get are always going to be worth considering swapping to. So let's do a few more rerolls here. Elemental, I still don't think is going to be the way to go. Brick gives us blunt, and then we could potentially farm it into more money, though it costs 30 and just drops 30, so it's not amazing here. Let's just save our money here to reroll. I'm going to hit level 10, and I have to roll for armor on level 10, because we just need that guaranteed +3 armor upgrade. I'm strongly considering if we find like a sword or a Vorpal sword, something like that, changing out the loot for it as well. Because the support and musical tags have been really useful in the early game. Later on, they're going to be much less important. And one reason that we're struggling a little bit to maintain our health is obviously my defensive stats are bad. I have negative armor and only 7 regeneration, but we also attack slowly and don't do that much damage, so enemies are much more likely to hit us. Here, I'm gonna, of course, recycle that, and then I have to roll for armor, because I've just got to get my armor positive. Naval is also an interesting option. We could get 5 curse from a naval weapon. I wouldn't use blunderbuss for that, but if we find a trident, maybe I'll buy trident. Because that gives us naval and medieval, I think. Let's roll here. I'll upgrade the scissors. These are one that are kind of on the short list for cutting, but which I guess is what scissors are for. But while I have them, I might as well upgrade them. Again, we don't have anything else to spend our money on, so all these short-term advantages are still really worth it. I could swap Claw for Flaming Brass Knuckles. This keeps the unarmed tag. It attacks at the same speed and does way more damage currently. It also gives me the elemental tag, which is useful for the Knuckles themselves, and maybe we end up with another elemental item, because I have precise from Claw, but I also have precise from Scissors, so I don't need to keep the Claw specifically. So let's make that swap, and then I'll roll here, and we can lock this Cacti Club, because I definitely want to upgrade that as well. The Brass Knuckles will be nice, because the extra burning damage gives me an extra way to just deal damage to these high health enemies like that Hatter. And when we get to the elite waves later on, we'll be pretty happy with that. I'm also wondering if maybe I should have kept the flint instead of the ghost axe. I figured that the axe, because it has longer range and a wider swing, was more likely to get kills when mixed with a bunch of other weapons like this, so we're more likely to trigger the bonus from the ethereal weapon. But the attack speed is better than the percent damage, so maybe it still would have been better to keep the ghost flint. We also had a level 3 axe and only a level 2 flint, but obviously we could have upgraded that since we're doing a lot of rerolls anyways. While I have this luck, because I do still probably want to change out the loot for something else later on, I should reroll for higher level stats very aggressively. So I could take like 6 HP here, but I think we can do better. So let's roll, and yeah, I'm gonna take 9 speed. Do I want 7 crit chance, or do I want to reroll for armor or something like that? I think we can get a high level armor or better upgrade, like a level 3 or higher. 9 HP is pretty tempting, but I think here I am just going to take 6 dodge. Getting to dodge cap matters so much. Although maybe, actually, no, that was definitely a mistake. Because I was at 52 dodge, a level 3 dodge upgrade would have gotten me to dodge cap right away. Now I have to spend a whole other level on getting dodge, whereas if I had waited until I rolled into a level 3, I wouldn't have had to do that. So definitely an error there. Obviously, when we're trying a challenge like this, we're going to be learning as we go. Let's roll here, and I'll do some more rerolls. Still looking at the options for different items that we could get. Sharp Tooth still kind of interesting, but obviously we're going to pass on that. Rock, I could... If I get another medieval weapon, I could still use Rock as my blunt weapon, and I think that is going to be better. Obviously, I need to get another medieval weapon if I make this swap. So we'll need to find medieval right away, and then we'll probably change the loot out for our first medieval weapon. But Rock gives me +1 armor, just base, and does way more damage than the spiky shield. So, and we should be able to find a medieval weapon just by re-rolling a few times. So let's do that, and then we'll re-roll again, and then we'll go to the next wave. So here I'm weaker than I was before because that swap to the Rock decreased my armor. As you can see there, when we took 17 damage in one hit. But if I find, like, a sword, that would be perfect. Or a Vorpal sword, which would be even better, because it can maybe help kill the bosses. Because that would give me medieval and blade, which is another weapon tag that we're missing. Loot is good for killing bosses, because the damage debuff is very powerful as well, but I think it's mostly important that we focus on boosting my offensive and defensive stats. And I'm just going to run from the elites and bosses most likely, because getting a weapon set that's capable of killing them when you have weird weapons like this is always going to be a little more challenging. Focusing on getting high percent damage with our Ghost Axe as well, and we are picking that up. So, of course, we have to recycle and recycle. And then, so here I am going to take 9% dodge. We will get 6% more dodge when I get the medieval tag, but I do still want to hit 60% dodge. And then I really need to find the medieval weapon tag before this horde wave. So I will upgrade my brass knuckles here, but I'm going to roll and look for a medieval weapon. And we'll probably end up buying the first one that we see. Do I want to upgrade the loot? I don't think so, because we are probably planning to sell it. So let's keep rolling. Okay, well, it's a little sad, but I think I do have to just sell out of the loot and buy the spiky shield back. And then we will, and maybe I should have done that instead and swapped that way. By selling the loot, having the overlap of our old spiky shield and the rock, and then selling out of the spiky shield when we get a different medieval weapon. But this way we got the loot for an extra wave, so we have had extra economy. But I really don't want to take this horde wave with highly negative armor. Okay, well, the Vorpal Sword showed up, and I talked about how that's kind of the perfect weapon for us in this spot. So now we still have the medieval weapon tag. We're a little over indexed into dodge because I overbought dodge there and wasted a whole level buying dodge, as I discussed already. But the blade weapon tag gives me lifesteal. The medieval tag obviously fixes our armor, so I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. I am going to be rolling for armor and regeneration primarily at this point. More attack speed would be nice as well. The horde wave is gonna be a little more challenging since my attack speed is pretty low, and we have some fairly slow attacking weapons. I also, at this point, really don't care that much about making money. We want to make levels, and so obviously we're gonna need to kill enemies as a consequence of needing to increase our level, since that's how we're gonna strengthen the character. But buying more items is not significantly important. I think our weapon set is basically where we want it now. Like, maybe the flaming brass knuckles could be slightly improved for a different unarmed weapon, depending on what we get. But currently, I'm feeling like we're in very good shape. There is a loot alien over there. I'm going to ignore it and just focus on killing a few more enemies. We'll recycle here, and then I could buy percent damage, but I really am looking for regeneration or armor. So let's roll and roll. I'm going to take 9 max HP as well, because my max HP of 47 was fine, but not amazing. I'm going to still do some rerolls to try to upgrade the weapons that we currently have, and maybe there are other weapons that we do still want to swap to. I could also change out which... We've gotten, 19% damage from the Ghost Axe? So, depending on what ethereal weapons I find, I could change out which ethereal weapon I have at some point as well. Let's upgrade our Vorpal Sword. That's going to be really nice. And then we'll keep re-rolling and re-rolling. And we'll do one more re-roll here. And then we'll go to the next wave. I think that, obviously, Flaming Brass Knuckles is just Fist, but better, so we don't need to swap there. Alright, so other than my armor being really low and my regeneration being really low, I think we've actually managed to kind of turn the corner and find the stats that we need on this character. Got those one-shots as well from the Vorpal Sword. More attack speed would help the Vorpal Sword shine as well. So we could use that to potentially tease the elite and boss fights and make those a lot safer if we get one-shots. I'm not going to rely on that since it's still a low percent chance, even if I find a high-level Vorpal Sword, even if we happen to get a cursed one. Cursed weapons are another reason to reroll the shop as well. That is one of the ways that we could get a major power spike, is if we get a good cursed weapon. Still gonna try to kill that curse alien, but I wasn't able to. Oh, I wish I could buy that leather vest. Here I'm gonna reroll for armor again, because I desperately need to increase my armor, and we'll take +3, and then we can get a higher level upgrade than that, so let's roll. And here I'll take 2 more armor. 7.5 luck is also good, because I do want higher levels to appear, but 2 armor is one of the best things we can get, so we're going to pick that up. Up to 5 armor, I'm feeling a lot safer now. So tragic that we have to pass this cursed adrenaline. That would be really nice for us, of course. Let's do a few rerolls just to see if we can find a cursed weapon. Hatchet, our primitive weapon, the Cacti Club, I think is still perfect because it gives us heavy as well. Let's do some more rerolls here just to see what we could find. Chopper is still interesting. The blade weapon tag is currently also our medieval weapon tag, and Vorpal Sword is probably one of our best weapons, so I don't really want to sell out of it. Yeah, you can see, other than our Brass Knuckles, which are actually doing very good damage, the Vorpal Sword is our best damage item. So I think we're not going for the Chopper plan, though that is a direction that you could maybe go. I would also really like to level my rock here, because that would give me another armor. So I'll do one more reroll, and then we'll go to wave 13. If we could level our rock to level 4, or even get a cursed one, which would potentially give us even more armor, that would be great. Did you see how fast that one charger was? Because it got buffed by the buffing alien, and then it got pushed out of the way by all the other enemies spawning underneath it, so it just rocketed at us. That was scary. Still getting pretty good attack or damage income from my Ghost Scepter. Ghost Axe. One of them ghost thingies. So with 60 dodge and now, how much armor do we have? 5? We're in much better shape. I definitely want to kill this mini-boss, though. It can make things a lot scarier if I leave it alive. So let's take it out here. Trying to move into the biggest groups of enemies so that we make the most money from or the most stats from our Ghost Axe. Now, here's an interesting option. I could swap my Ghost Axe out for the Ghost Flint. Attack speed is better. Now, it'll probably get fewer kills than the Ghost Axe will, and it does less damage, but attacks more frequently. It'll get fewer kills because it's shorter ranged, and the thrusting attack, rather than the swinging attack, is less likely to hit multiple enemies at the same time, so it's not going to get as many kills, and we won't get as many points of our chosen stat from it. But attack speed is more valuable than percent damage. I think I'm still going to pass on the Ghost Flint, though. I think I'd rather stay with the Ghost Axe here. Let's do a couple more rerolls, and reroll again, reroll again, reroll again. Hatchet, another high-level weapon we could maybe use. We're happier with the Vorpal Sword than the regular sword, so no need to swap there. Fireball gives us explosive and elemental, but that's not particularly exciting. Aw, no, the Sift's Relic. I wish I could get that. I'm going to reroll one more time. Mace does scale negatively with our attack speed, which I do want to increase, but is a weapon with high base damage. But I'm still happier with medieval from the Vorpal Sword and heavy from the Cacti Club. So we're not making any changes here. Our rerolls are getting really expensive. Let's go to the next wave. So at this point, I need to pick up a little more incidental armor from our levels, but mostly I need healing. So I'm going to take high-level lifesteal and regeneration upgrades that we see, which if we see a level 3 of either, or obviously a level 4, that's going to be our main priority. And even if we see a level 2 version of those after a couple rerolls, I'll probably pick that up, just to make sure that we can get them. Because as you can see here, our main challenge is that my defensive stats are pretty good, but if I take a couple hits in a row, we do not heal quickly, and although we have 60 dodge, it's still very possible for us to take some high damage hits in a row. Maybe I was supposed to get the Ghost Flint for more attack speed. Attack speed is a limiting factor for us right now. Also, obviously, I've built a lot of curse by killing curse aliens, and that has not done anything for us because we haven't found a cursed weapon. So the curse that we have currently is just hurting us. We'll recycle there, and then do I take 3 regen or do I hold out for a better regen upgrade? With only 5 luck, I think I am just going to take the 3 regeneration. Thunder Sword is interesting. This is a blade weapon that's also elemental. We do benefit from the elemental tag that we have, making this do a lot of damage. So the Thunder Sword is actually a really high damage option. Is there a weapon I could sell? I still want the crit chance, though. Precise is a tag that I could give up on. obviously, a lot of the attraction of crit chance in Brotato is the crit synergy items, Hunting Trophy and Tentacle, and this character can never use those. So I could sell out of the scissors, but this just gives us the medical weapon tag, which is so important. So I think the Thunder Sword I'm going to say no to. I did overbuy dodge, so I could technically swap out of unarmed. We would end up at 52 dodge, which again, a level 3 dodge upgrade would fix. So if I bought another +9 dodge, then that would get me over 60 again. So I could potentially swap out of the Flaming Brass Knuckles if I thought the Thunder Sword was going to be enough more damage to be worth it. I think it's not, though. I think we're going to just keep doing some rerolls and look for cursed weapons or a rock upgrade. Keep on rolling a little bit here. Really getting kind of unlucky on the items we're finding, but I have only 5 luck, so that's not that surprising. Also, there's no point in banning items because the game rolls the weapons and items separately, decides whether it's a weapon or an item first before it decides what item it is. So you don't need to just like ban 8 random items to try to make weapons more likely to show up. That doesn't change the odds of a weapon appearing. Alright, well, we should get a lot of stats from our Ghost Axe here. So I'm kind of waiting until it's off cooldown and then jumping into these big groups of enemies to try to maximize the extra % damage we're getting. I am, at this point, kind of regretting not swapping to the Ghost Scepter. Or Ghost Flint for extra attack speed. Just calling every ethereal weapon by the wrong name, no big deal. Obviously we recycle all of these, and then let's reroll, and again, I am looking for a level 2 or 3 regeneration or lifesteal, because I think, and level 2 or 3 armor I would also take. Level 2 lifesteal I will pass on. I do think we can do better than that. Yeah, let's take 2 armor here, and then I will keep on rerolling, and we'll look for some upgrades to our weapon set. Grenade launcher, also a little interesting, but we're not building any ranged weapon, or any ranged damage. Okay, this is like the best thing we could possibly have found. Level 4 Cursed Rock gets me +4 armor, so suddenly we're up to +10 armor. It also does amazing damage, so the curse that we've bought is really coming in clutch here. I'll do a couple more rerolls, because again, this is all we can spend our money on. Torch is a little interesting as well, but I'm, again, just hoping for more powerful cursed item finds like that one. So now we're at 10 armor and 60 dodge, so I'm feeling a lot safer. Obviously, we still need to get enough regeneration. 10 regen and however much lifesteal we have, like 3, is not sufficient for our healing needs. Especially because on this character, we have much lower luck than I would usually build into. I have to kill those Stargazer towers before too many mini-bosses spawn this wave. I am going to kill the Curse Aliens because we could still find powerful cursed items. Cursed weapons. Kind of ignoring the enemy attacks here, but we're just looking for more stats. Let's recycle, and then again, I'm going to roll for regeneration stats. Okay, well, obviously we're going to take a 20 attack speed upgrade when we see one. I've complained a few times about how my low attack speed is hurting me, so let's fix that a little bit. Spiky Shield doesn't really do anything at this point. I am going to do some re-rolling here. A leveled up Vorpal Sword alongside the attack speed buff we just got. Really nice going into the Elite Wave. I'm going to take like 2 or 3 swings at it and just hope that we get the random 3%. I don't think it's that likely, so I'm not going to worry about killing the Elite with our Vorpal Sword. But especially given that I have low regeneration stats would make it a little harder to fight it. But if I can kill the elite early, it's going to make this wave obviously a lot safer. No, that's not what you were supposed to one-shot. Come on. I'm doing pretty good damage to it. If it was an elite that was easier to fight as a melee character, we could also just sort of naturally kill it, but I think it is going to be easier to run away. Whoops, okay. Took a lot of damage here. There's just too many enemies and too many cursed enemies this wave, so trying to kill this elite, I think, is going to be too dangerous for the rest of this wave. We'll just back off of it. It does mean I'm giving up a lot of ethereal weapon value. Oh man, a cursed lamprey is a really risky enemy to have spawned as well. Actually, a couple of them. But we made it out. Obviously, we didn't get to kill the elite, but of course we would have had to recycle the red item anyways, so it doesn't matter as much. Let's do a couple rerolls here, again, while they're cheap. Or, you know, relatively cheap. And then we'll go to wave 18. So I'm kind of unhappy about how that wave went, because it does make me feel like we are not prepared for the boss wave, which is longer and requires more healing to survive, and we simply don't have that at the moment. So we may be hoping for some lucky one-shots on the bosses with our Vorpal Sword, or hoping that we get good regen upgrades. Obviously, we have our level 20 upgrade coming, so that's another guaranteed tier 3 level up, and I'll pick up some regeneration or some armor there. Cursed mini-boss, super dangerous, so I'm going to chase this down and try to kill it. Didn't manage to kill it in the initial set of attacks that I got against it, so I'm going to back off from it and just try to avoid it for the rest of the map here. Still giving up quite a lot of Ghost Axe value, which is unfortunate. Let's go ahead and recycle here. Okay, so do I want 3 armor, or do I want to roll for regeneration? I think I'll just take the 3 armor. Armor is so efficient at keeping you alive. Let's roll, and we'll roll again, and I'm still just looking for cursed weapons. Warhammer. So this is a blunt weapon. We have our cursed rock, which is our best weapon right now. So the Warhammer, I think, is just not going to be worth taking. Do some rerolls here, and anchor we don't want. Let's roll again. Lots of cursed items that we're finding that aren't weapons. I'll do one more reroll for 69 because it's the funny number. But again, we're not finding anything. And it's not surprising that we're finding these low level. We're not finding like high level weapons that we really want, because I have 5 luck at wave 19. Amazing how many enemies there are on the field at this point, even though we have no increased enemy spawn. I think I'm gonna hope for... Well, I don't think we're actually gonna hit level 21, so I think we're stuck with the stats that we have, unless I find a good cursed weapon at this point. So this is going to be pretty spooky, because I've built a little too much curse. So the boss wave might be quite difficult here. We are going to survive, but I didn't hit level 21, so we're not increasing in power level at all, unless we get very lucky on finding a weapon here. The extra consumable heal from Chopper is very interesting, but I don't think there are any weapons I can sell out of, right? I could sell scissors, but that would cost me my medical tag, and that's a lot of my healing currently. I could sell Vorpal Sword and keep Blade, but that would cost medieval, so Chopper I don't think is going to give us any value. Let's roll and roll. We'll keep rolling. Medical Gun. So I could sell out of Medical and Precise and get Medical and Gun. That's going to be less lifesteal overall, but more consistently. Actually, the Medical Gun attacks faster, never mind. And crit chance, I don't think we care about, because we're not trying to kill the bosses. So I actually think that selling the scissors and trading Precise for Gun and better we'll get the consistent 55% lifesteal every half a second. So basically 1 healing per second from the medical gun because it's ranged. I actually think this is right. It's a weird swap to make, given that we don't have any ranged damage, but I think that actually makes the most sense. I wish I could upgrade the Cacti Club. That would be at least a nice little boost that would help keep the other enemies off of me. I'm not thrilled with where we're at. With 13 armor and 60 dodge, I think we can make this work, but I really do wish I'd found more healing. Spending that extra level up on the dodge really hurt me. Also, we weren't able to get extra speed. I bought crit chance that I probably shouldn't have as well, so a few things to clean up for next time if we have to do this again, which I think is very possible. So I am going to take a couple Vorpal Sword swings at the bosses just in case. Come on. Come on. Show me the money. Oh, okay. Well, that makes things a lot easier. Vorpal Sword definitely coming in clutch there. Let's see if we can get the other one. Okay, I took a bunch of hits, but I'll take a couple more 3% swings. We'll back off and pick up some healing. This medical gun is actually kind of an all-star for us right now because it has 55% lifesteal and it is shooting fairly consistently, so we're getting a lot of healing out of it. One more Vorpal Sword hit. Come on, game. I do like that Vorpal Sword exists for challenge runs like this because it gives you oh no, double cursed mini-boss. That's like the worst thing that could have happened. Alright, I should definitely have been paying more attention to the Stargazer spawns, because this is gonna kill me, like, almost certainly. Ooh, that dodge was lucky. Okay, some very lucky percent dodging happening, and we just kind of have to rely on that for the next few seconds here. I got so lucky on those dodges. 5 seconds left. Oh, don't do it to me like this. Okay. Oh, well, I tried my best to throw that by letting those mini-bosses spawn, but I had some of the best RNG of my life on those dodges, and we did get there on the first try, which is kind of unreal, given that I did my level best to throw that boss wave. But the one-shot on the boss, and then getting, like, 60% in a row? Someone go count those and then do the math. Let me know how many lethal hits I survived in that last wave all in a row, because it was an absurd number. But obviously, we did get there. I really like this weapon set. I like the medical gun. It gave us a lot of healing in the last wave because of its natural lifesteal, and having higher range helped a lot. And let the 5% lifesteal on our other weapons also function at least. Vorpal Sword got a one-shot on the boss, and I would certainly have died if that hadn't happened. And then the rock obviously was amazing as well. Big mistake in the last wave, not paying attention to the Stargazers. I was too focused on trying to get Vorpal Sword hits on the second boss. I should have focused on just keeping the field clear. And then the fact that we got double cursed mini-boss put me in a lot of danger, which was unnecessary. I could have just killed those towers instead of letting that happen and not had to rely on the random chance to save us. Fortunately, you know, you play enough runs of Brotato, sometimes you get lucky. All right, well, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that one. I think that this is a weapon set that's going to be pretty similar to what you're looking for in the end game. We dealt, 7k, 7k, 12k, so the Flaming Brass Knuckles doing pretty well. 8.4, but this is mostly for defensive stats. 45,000 on the Vorpal Sword with the one-shots, and then 5k with the medical gun, which, of course, was just there for the range and the healing. Alright, my friends, hope that you enjoyed the run, and of course, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time. I hope you get dodges as good as I just did.